Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom Airsoft. It's good to see you again, and if it's your first time here, as always, it's good to see you. I hope you'll stick around. Okay, well, in this video, we're back to our normal weekend video. We'll look at something different of Airsoft related for our great hobby that is Airsoft. Now, those of you who follow me will already know that every weekend I look to upload a video on all sorts of subjects around Airsoft, tech, gear guides, replica reviews, that type of thing, unboxings. And every midweek we'll do a gameplay video. Normally I try and do gameplays related to something I've reviewed. If I manage to get that item into the field, that's where I prefer to really show off what they're capable of in proper conditions on the field. So with that in mind, if you have been enjoying my series of videos, then please do subscribe to the channel, and then you won't miss any of my uploads, my weekend videos or my midweek gameplays. And at the end of this video, if you do enjoy it, then please drop a like on it. And as I always mention, if you do have any comments for me or any questions or any suggestions for future content, then do let me know in the comments. I'll always get back to you. May not get back to you straight away, but I will always reply to a comment. And if you want any more discussion with me or any more content from the channel, then you can find me on Facebook and Instagram as Rock Bottom Airsoft. Loads of pictures on there. I'm always open for a chat on those platforms. So with that out of the way, what are we going to look at today? Well, today I thought we'd take a look at airsoft grenades. I've already done an overview of 40mm grenades, which, you know, some people use, some people don't, but I quite like them. They're a bit of fun. In this video, we're going to look at a far more common grenade that's in use on your local airsoft field, no doubt. Some fields allow certain grenades, some don't. Check your own field's rules for the types of grenades that you're allowed to use. I'm going to try and do a broad overview with some of the grenades that I have, just to give you an idea of what's available for airsoft grenades. So, which one should we look at first? Well, I think we'll start with the cheapest option, which is Pyro. It's known as Pyro or pyrotechnic grenades because these usually involve some sort of flame. They are single-use grenades. This particular grenade here is an Enola Gay smoke grenade. You can also get flashbangs, thunder flashes. There are grenades that fire out dried peas and powder. The world of pyro grenades is huge, so I would suggest having a look online if there's a particular type of grenade you're after. The best place, to be honest, to get your grenades so that you know that you're within your site rules is you can normally buy pyro grenades from your field. What I tend to do, that is the only reason I only have this pyro grenade with me, I tend to buy all my pyros when I get on site. I don't tend to keep them at home. This is one that I had left over from my last outing at Tazball Airsoft. And that's where I tend to buy all of my pyro if I'm going to be using pyro grenades. So what do you get? Well, if you're getting a Thunder Flash, the Thunder Flash Mark V is quite effective. You can also get tag grenades. The list is endless. This particular one is a smoke grenade. They're usually very simple to use. In the case of this Enola Gay one, it's a ring pull. So when you're ready to deploy the smoke grenade, you basically pull the ring. It's going to start flames coming out of the end slightly, and then it'll start smoking. And at that point you can throw the grenade and it produces quite a lot of smoke. If you're going to be using one of these, particularly smokes and thunder flashes and that type of thing, I always recommend to wear gloves in game anyway, as I've recommended before. But with this sort of thing, I would certainly recommend to have gloves when you're deploying one of these grenades, just to protect your hands if nothing else. Never put your hand over the end here. If you see one on the field that's still smoking, don't grab it by the end. The smoke is coming out. It does get very hot on the end here. And obviously the same applies to thunder flashes and those types of things, because those grenades, they can be deployed in a number of ways. Some of them are ring pull. In the case of a ring pull one, if that lands at your feet, then get away from it. Don't try and pick it up because they do explode. They don't have a massive amount of explosive force, but it'd be like picking up a firework, I would imagine. You don't want that going off in your hand. You don't want it going off near to you. It could certainly injure you. Or my field that I go to, my home field, they have rules on only underhand throws with the flashbang grenades, not thrown directly at an individual, obviously. You use them mainly for clearing out buildings. Smoke grenades, obviously we use those for providing cover when we're crossing open ground. So these are awesome. They don't have to worry about them. They're in your pocket. You know, they're not very expensive to buy. At my local field, these are free for £12. So you get free smoke grenades, various colours, whatever colours you want, for £12. You can buy these online if you want to stock up yourself. They retail at approximately £4.50 each. That's British pounds here in the UK. So about £4.50 for one of these smoke grenades. You can get more deals if you buy them in bulk. Obviously there's cheaper deals to be had when you're buying a lot of them in one go. So yeah, now if you weren't using a smoke grenade, if you're using an Enola Gay exploding grenade, a frag grenade, those fire dry peas out of them. Those ones are ring pull, but the thunder flashes, they work very similar to a match. So you'll separate the thunder flash, it'll have a striker on one end, you strike it, that'll start a spark going similar to a firework fuse, and then you throw it. You don't want to be holding on to it when it goes off. So that's Pyro in a nutshell, as it were. They're cheap, they're disposable, they're single use, they can be dangerous if you mistreat them, but obviously if you use them as they were intended to be used, wear gloves, always have eye protection on when you're using any kind of pyro, and only use them in the field. These aren't things you want to be throwing around in your back garden, really. You don't want to start fires, which is another disadvantage with pyro if you're playing in a very dry area where the grass or undergrowth is like tinder. Then one of these could very easily start a fire. So use precautions when you're using these. So there we go. The advantage of these, very, very affordable, but over time, as you can imagine, if you're going to use a lot of these in game, the cost is going to add up. So with that in mind, you might consider that you don't want to be buying these every time you go for a game. Smoke grenades, you may very well have to buy them. You can't really buy a reusable smoke grenade, but from a frag grenade point of view, or a flashbang grenade, you can buy reusable options. So smoke grenades, that's your ultimate pyro. You can't really have any other option for a smoke grenade, but you can also get thunder flashes and room clearing grenades that are single use as well. So let's pop that to one side. So what do we come to next? Next, going up in price, you could maybe consider what we call a shower grenade, similar to the 40mm grenades, except not directional particularly. These act more like a grenade. This is an E-Raz grenade, and this is the Airsoft Innovations Cyclone grenade. Now these two grenades, they work very similarly. I'll just take one of these out here. Okay, so that's the E-Raz grenade. You can see it has been thrown. Now with these, basically you fill these up with BBs. These probably more suited to an indoor environment. They are what we call an impact grenade. So with an impact grenade, it does exactly what it says on the tin. This grenade will not go off while the pin is through, but obviously once you remove the pin, the grenade is live, and a sharp impact on an object or on a floor is going to cause the grenade to discharge. In the case of these grenades, you fill up the grenade here with BBs using a speed loader, very similar to a magazine. I think it holds around about 200 BBs. After you fill it up with BBs, or before you fill it up with BBs, depending on how you want to work it, again, make sure you have eye protection and hand protection on while you're doing this. You then fill it up with green gas from this valve here, just the same as you would a gas blowback or gas airsoft replica magazine. Once the grenade is loaded and you're in the field, pull the pin, just like a real grenade, and then throw the grenade either into a room or wherever. And what will happen is once this impacts a surface that's hard enough to trigger it, so onto a concrete floor, something like that, once it hits a hard surface, it will discharge, and then it will start to spin around, spraying BBs out of this hole here. And if anybody gets hit by that BB, then obviously they take the hit. Depending on your field, will depend on the rules of grenades. Some rules are that you have a 5 meter kill radius regardless with grenades, which covers Pyro, and these as well. So if this goes off when you're within 5 meters, even if you don't get hit with a BB, it will still class as a hit. But these are primarily designed for what we call an impact hit. So you know, you get hit by a BB off it, and then you take the hit just like you would off a replica hit. So that's a gas grenade. The Airsoft Innovation Cyclone grenade, which I'll be honest with you, this is a new one that I haven't used yet. But as you can see, it comes in lots of parts. You put the parts together. The only real difference with the Cyclone is it has a spoon, just like a real grenade. So you pull the pin, and then there's a spoon that flicks off the side. This one, again, you fill it with BBs, you fill it with green gas. Once it starts spinning, it sprays BBs out all over the place. These have proved to be very popular in a lot of places. I've had problems with mine, depending on the type of gas you use. If you use overpowered gas on these, they don't tend to like it. So, you know, that's something to consider. It's about 140 BBs, as you can see on the box here, that this one will hold. When this goes off, it spins, as the name suggests, in a cyclone. It spins around, spraying those BBs in all directions at quite some speed. So your enemy team should definitely call the hits if they get hit with a BB off this. But again, this and this would require green gas to operate, and they do have to be loaded with BBs, which is additional cost. Now, for the E-Raz grenade, you are going to be looking at a price of around about £40, British pounds here in the UK. I'll put a link to where you can get all of these grenades in the description. About £40 is not too expensive. I mean, if you're working on the fact that a Pyro grenade, such as a Mark V Thunder Flash, if you're getting one of those, they retail for about £2.99, about £3 per Thunder Flash. So, I mean, you know, 10, 13 of those, if you use 3 in a day, it's not going to take you many gameplays to get up to the cost of one of these. The Airsoft Innovation Cyclone Impact Grenade is about the same. That retails for about £40 to £45. And again, they are quite reliable for going off. What I've found is with these grenades, they will go off, but they're not always the most reliable for spraying the BBs out. I've had instances where these have gone off. Yeah, they vent a load of gas out, but they don't appear to throw a load of BBs everywhere. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's more difficult to prime one of these grenades. They're not the easiest grenade in the world to get ready, especially the Airsoft Innovation Cyclone Impact Grenade. That can be quite fiddly to get the firing mechanism set and have it ready to go and get it set up properly. Plus with these, as with any reusable grenade, if you play forest games, indoor games, whatever games you play, do remember you're going to be throwing this, and if you're throwing it some distance, there's a chance of losing it. With one of these, or with a Pyro explosive grenade, once you throw it, you forget about it. It blows up, it's done, you can't use it again, so you don't really worry about it. However, these, you don't want to lose them in the field because obviously they're reusable, you've paid for them, you don't want them to go missing, so that's something to consider. Obviously, additional cost of the £40 to £45 on these ones. You are going to need a bottle of this, a bottle of green gas to charge them. Dependent on your retailer, you could be looking at anywhere from £10 to £15 for a bottle of green gas. And then you need to load them with BBs as well, so it's going to eat into your ammo as well as that. So, you know, again, reusable, but they do have to be charged with BBs and gas, and it's not something you want to lose. Not always the most reliable for throwing BBs out. I've heard great things about them in CQB environments, especially indoor games, because obviously you've got solid floors, unlike the forest games that I play, where if they land on the forest floor, sometimes they don't go off, and sometimes the BBs end up in the grass and the bushes. But in an indoor environment, if there's a lot of people in confined space, I can imagine these would be quite devastating, because obviously they're going to throw BBs all over the place, which are bouncing around all over. And reasonably affordable, 40 to 45 pounds. Again, that's not a bad buy. Brightly coloured, so you should see them. The Cyclone grenade comes with different coloured stickers, so you can personalise it and not have one looking the same colour as somebody else's on the field, so you don't get mixed up. Yeah, so that's your BB dispensing grenades, if you want to call them that. The green gas powered BB dispensing. Airsoft Innovations and a couple of other companies also do bang grenades, like a flashbang, that work off compressed gas, off green gas. The same as these. They are reusable, but on the Airsoft Innovations one particularly, you have to replace they're like little paper pieces that pop, that make the bang. They're very loud. They are reusable. The replacements are cheaper than buying Pyro. But again, you know, if you go in with a banging grenade, we'll get back onto our next option, which ups the cost a little bit, but are quite effective. So that's your BB dispensing grenades. We'll put those to one side. Obviously you need your green gas for those. So what do we have next? Next up, we have what we call a BFG, or blank firing grenade. Now the particular one that I have here is a Tectronix Dominator. This is an impact grenade. Now again, what we mean by impact is when it hits a solid object such as the floor, that's when the firing mechanism goes off, that's when it will bang. Tectronix also do a timed grenade, which unfortunately I don't have one of those just yet, but the Tectronix timed grenade, that works on a timer. So you prime it, you throw it, and then after a set amount of time, the grenade will bang. So you don't need to rely on it hitting a solid floor. One problem with blank firing impact grenades is, depending on how sensitive they are, especially for playing outdoors, if it lands on soft ground, it's unlikely to go off. If you're playing indoors, not so much of a problem if you have solid floors in your indoor arena, because they are pretty reliable for going off on a hard surface. But again, out in forest play, if they land in any kind of soft terrain, it's unlikely they're going to go off, which, depending on your field rules, on my field particularly, at Tazball, my home field does not count any kills from that grenade if the grenade doesn't go off. It's classed as a dud. So that's something to bear in mind with these. So let's have a look at what we get in the Tectronix. Okay, so that is the Tectronix blank firing grenade. I've wrapped it in green tape, and some of my mates have written something on there, just so I can identify that it's mine, because obviously I'm not the only person in the field that has one of these. Now for a Tectronix Dominator, which is the impact grenade variant that Tectronix make, this retails for approximately 55 to 60 pounds, British pounds. I'll put a link again in the description as to where you can get one of these, which is again not much more than the gas powered grenades. To me, this is much more effective than the gas powered grenades. Much easier to prime, much easier to use, and in the long run, much tougher, much more effective. Now there are a lot of impact grenades available in the airsoft market. Have a look which ones you prefer, which one you think would be better for you. For example, the TRMRs, the Tremors, are very popular. As far as I'm aware though, you can't get hold of those anymore. They're only available pre-owned, but there's a lot of people use those. But the principle is the same. I have my Dominator set up for 9mm blanks. And to prime the device, basically all you do is take that out, which holds your blank. Make sure your pin's in. And then once you've got that out, you would need, and that is a 9mm blank. So you basically take your 9mm blank, load it in, screw it back into the base, and that is you ready to go. Once you pull the pin on the grenade and then throw it, it's going to go off when it hits something hard. Now believe me, these are very loud, especially with the 9mm blanks in. The Dominator does come with 2 sizes available. You get the 9mm blanks, but you can also use 209 primers. The 209 primers are plenty loud enough. They're much cheaper than the 9mm blanks, and in the Dominator you get the adapters to use both types of blank rounds. These again are available online, the 9mm blanks and the 209 primers, as are the cleaning kits and the grenades online. As you can see, the 209 primers are much smaller, but they still go with a loud bang. One thing to be aware of, again, with this particular grenade is that that's additional cost again. If you're going to be buying primers, the 209 primers are quite affordable. For a big packet of 100 there, you're looking at around about £7 to £8. For the 9mm blanks, you can vary. They are a bit more expensive. You get about £15, and that gets you about 50. So it's worth putting that in there. I mean, it still works out more affordable than buying Pyro every time, but there is additional cost to buy your blanks. And again, because this is a device that you've purchased, if you're to lose this, then that's £55 gone. If you get the timed version can retail from anywhere from £70 to £75. Some of the timed ones only come with a 209 adapter. Some will come with the 9mm adapter as well, depending on the cost that you pay. But again, very simple to use, very simple to reset, very nice. This one's been used a fair few times. Yeah, so I mean, again, these, excellent. We'll go with really, really loud bang. So that's your BFG or your blank firing grenade. Lots of options. Tectronix Innovations, that sort of thing. They do a multi-shot base. Their Tectronix Innovations grenade, I think it has an 8-shot base on it. I don't have one of those, but you load up your primers, you twist the base, throw it, and then when you want to use it again, you twist the base again. That puts you onto your next primer, so you don't have to keep reloading it after each time that you've thrown it. So that's something to consider. Those can be more costly. There are lots and lots of reusable grenades available in the market. That's a small selection of some of the ones that I've used in-game. Pyro, by far and away, is my most common, followed by my BFG, or blank firing grenade, the Dynatex. That again is probably my second most common. I have used these gas grenades in-game. To be honest, not my favourite. Bit too fiddly, bit too unreliable, especially if they don't hit anybody. So yeah, I don't really use those so much now. They are very cool. They look cool when they start spinning around and throwing BBs. And very affordable if you want to give them a try. But by far and away, the ones I use the most is Pyro and the impact grenade. But the impact grenade, like I say, make sure it's marked up. Make sure you remember where you threw it, because if you lose it, it's gone, you know. And that brings me on then to the little oddities. And there are other grenades available in the market, which are something like this. This is the Tectronix Atom. Believe it or not, I have used this in game. You can see compared to the Dominator how small it is. It's absolutely tiny. There is nothing to it, but it's a nice little thing. It's very affordable, this one. You could get this for about £10, 10 British pounds. Now, as I was mentioning about the disposable, the single-use Pyro grenades, if you get a tag grenade that does incidentally look very realistic and go with a really loud bang, they can cost you £10 each, and one of these costs you £10. These are really simple to use. There's nothing to them, but it's a bit of a thing that's going on at the moment. You'll need some of these, which are thunder snaps. They're basically they're like a cap that you throw on the ground and they go pop. Used to get them when I was a kid. There has been a thing with health and safety that these may not be totally available at a lot of UK retailers. Again, it depends on the country that you're in, but in the UK, these have been harder to get hold of. Now, so far I haven't had an issue. These ones actually came from Amazon. So I was able to get them from Amazon. So they are still selling them unless they've changed the rules on it. But all you do is take one of those and load it into the top of your Atom, and then it works as an impact grenade. You load it into there, fasten it back down, and then as an impact grenade, once you throw it, that will go with a bang, and your Atom, it kind of amplifies the noise a little bit, but to be honest, not too much. And with these Atoms, you really do have to hit them on a hard surface, and they really do have to hit the surface quite hard. They do end up scratched up, but you know, they still work at a push, especially in an indoor field. If you're on an indoor game, I think you could have a lot of fun if you had quite a few of these on your belt and just started throwing them on the ground. You know, you get a lot of pops and bangs going off. That would be good fun. So there you go. That's our grenades from what you could say was least expensive, your Pyro. Then you could go with your Atom, which is in a similar price range, but again, the use of an Atom, I've not found it very reliable in my forest games. You really do have to hit a surface hard for it to go off, and it's nowhere near as loud as a decent Pyro flashbang or as a blank firing grenade. You've got your green gas powered grenades, which again spray BBs in all directions, and you'll need some green gas for those. And then you have the Dynatex in my case, or any blank firing grenade that takes your fancy. You might see them known as BFGs, blank firing grenades. With those you are going to need some sort of blanks, so that's going to be additional cost for those. So that's from least to most expensive. For the ones that I'd say that I'd recommend, smoke grenades, always great fun, but if you're going for Pyro flashbangs, thunder flashes and the like, definitely. I love Pyro, I use lots of Pyro in my games, and the disposable Pyro is great because you're not worried about losing it. Doesn't cost you an horrendous amount of money, but it does add up over a season. Moving on, you've got the Atom. I'd say the Atom's a bit of fun. If you like it and you want it for the novelty, go for it. As a serious gameplay device, I would say not. For me, it barely ever went off, and if it does go off, it's very easy to lose, and also it's not the loudest device in the world either. But again, looks cool on your rig, fun, bit of novelty, that's why I got one. Next up, you'll have your BB firing grenades that work off green gas. They're probably one of my least go-to ones because they're very fiddly to arm. They do go off, but they don't always reliably eject all the BBs. Sometimes the BBs eject before you have a chance to set it off, just like a 40mm grenade. Sometimes the green gas, if you develop a leak on them, there's a lot of maintenance involved because obviously you need to keep the seals oiled up, you need to use grenade oil on them. Affordable, because you're moving from £10 to £40. Not a massive jump, but again, you'll need some green gas, some grenade oil, a bit more time. Don't even think about reloading one of these in the field. You could, but it's going to take you a while. You're going to have good cover to reload that in the field. So those are probably my least recommended. But again, as a novelty, is something a bit different. Some people use them a lot, some people swear by them, and some people have a lot of success with them. So I'm not saying they're a bad device. I'm just saying for my style of gameplay, they don't work for me particularly well. And then last but not least, the more expensive option, a blank firing grenade, either impact or timed, which you'll need some blank rounds for. And again, you know, they are very good. Sometimes on soft ground, an impact grenade can be unreliable, but you can get around that by buying a timed blank firing grenade. Again, they're more expensive, so you certainly don't want to lose it if you can avoid it, so you need to know where you've thrown it. But these are reliable. They're well made, they're strong, it's going to go off for you every time. So for me, if it's not Pyro, it's my blank firing grenade that I go with. So there you go. I hope that's given you a slight overview on some of the grenades that are available to us in Airsoft, and some of the advantages and disadvantages of them, and some of the pricings that are involved with them. If you do have any questions for me about grenades, then either drop me a line on Facebook or Instagram, or drop me a comment here and I'll always get back to you. If you've enjoyed this video, then please like it. If you think there are improvements I could make, then as always let me know in the comments. And if you are enjoying my series of videos, then don't forget to subscribe. We'll go through different subjects like this every weekend, and every midweek I will upload one of my gameplay videos. So until next time, thank you very much for watching.